Lands are my bones, these waters my blood. I've got Praetoria in my soul.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Town Square. It's about 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, November 13th. Thank you all for joining us here in Discord, and I guess this is streaming on the other services, but this is more a question focused, question and answer focused session. So anyone who wants to ask questions, please hop over to the Discord Town Hall channel. You can post your questions in chat, and you can even come on to the main stage if you want to ask a voice question and kind of interact that way. One thing I wanted to mention also, sort of like a housekeeping item, is that I think we're going to keep doing the current schedule of alternating town squares and town halls every Monday through the end of the year. I think like through December 18th, I think, and then Christmas and New Year's are both on Mondays, so we're going to take a little break there. And then starting in 2024, I think we're going to do these every other week rather than every week. I just think it's a lot of work. And we don't always have that much to talk about every week. So I think next year, as things hopefully like settle down a little bit, we'll switch to an every other week schedule. So just a little heads up there. And I guess the first thing I want to talk about before we kind of start getting into questions, a little bit of potentially bad news to share is that we did unfortunately have a number of pretty serious issues come up testing the Land 1.5 release over the weekend. So we're kind of still evaluating that. But as I kind of mentioned in the disclaimer in the post and last week, it's ultimately, it's up to our ops team and investigator and PJ. But I'm confident that Farpatrod will be able to fix all the issues that came up, over the weekend and today. But that doesn't give us a whole lot of time there, and we're not super comfortable releasing something this big with a bunch of stuff that's been fixed and changed like right at the last minute without enough testing time. So I want to give everyone a heads up that we kind of have a release planning meeting later in the day every Monday, and it is possible at this point, based on the stuff that's come up over the weekend, that we may have to delay the Land release. I know everyone would obviously not be very happy about that and would probably roast me, and I apologize if that's the case. But ultimately, that's what comes with this territory, is we got to make the right decisions. And I would not want to put something out if it's not really ready, because it's just going to cause the people like Investigator and Patrick and Butcher Block and a bunch of the rest of the team is going to just have to be up nights and just dealing with issues if those arise. So we really just need to do everything we can to make sure when we release something like this, it's 100% ready to go. So I don't know for sure what the ultimate decision is going to be. That's going to be decided later today, and if there is a delay, we'll let you know, in Discord with an official announcement. So if that happens, I want to apologize in advance to everyone here. I know it kind of sucks, but it's still definitely not too far off by any means. It will 100% happen, before the end of the year. And in the scheme of things, I think it's just much better that we take our time and get it right, rather than rush something out and potentially have, serious consequences. So, again, I apologize if that ends up happening. Keep your eye on the official announcements on Discord, and we'll let you know either way before the end of the day today. But that's where things stand right now. It's a little bit up in the air. So that aside, I'll jump into questions in the Discord, and I'll start with some of the ones that from the last couple of days. There were only a few from before the town square started, and then we can just go right into questions from the chat. And again, if anyone wants to come onto the main stage into voice chat and ask their questions, I think that you can raise your hand, or there's some way to indicate to Ron that you want to do that, and we'll get you on. And then if we have some extra time, I don't know how many questions there will be. I'll try to answer them as quickly as possible. I feel like a lot of people liked the last town hall when there was some technical difficulties, and I spent that time talking about some of the land phase 2 stuff. I'd be happy to go through, a little bit more of that and give a little bit more of a sneak peek in phase 2. If there's time for that today, and that's what people want. All right, so Vonarch for Freedom is asking yesterday in the chat, can we open the beta gameplay for Soulkeep to anyone with at least 1 pack? It seems like it doesn't really make sense to gate access at 500 packs. That way smaller players who've been holding for a long time can get a taste of it. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense for me at this point. I'm still working on the plan we're putting in place to get Soulkeep released. And hopefully that'll be able to be announced very soon. But in the meantime, I'll see if that's something that's easily doable. I don't see why it wouldn't be. But yeah, I agree that everyone should kind of be able to get to try it out at this point. G. Vasil had a question earlier this morning. How do you feel about publishing a physical book with Splinterlands lore stories? Yeah, I love all the physical stuff. I'm a huge fan of physical things. As you all know, I shuffle my physical cards here on my desk, and I love all that stuff. I just don't think it's like we just have the resources right now to do that stuff. I mean, it takes time and effort for someone to put that together and manage the printing and manage the distribution. So as much as I would love to do a lot more physical things, that's just not our focus right now. Question from Jarv AI for Farpatrod: is there a source to get the SPS amount a plot gets an hour or is ready to harvest? I don't know. I will forward that on to Farpatrod right now and ask him to message you or post in the Mavs or something with a response to that. I'm gonna copy that one and send it over to him right after that. So I apologize you haven't gotten a response yet. Obviously, FARP is a bit busy, to say the least. Let's see. We got Oh So Juicy. When are we upgrading the graphics and animation of Splinterlands? It looks so old school and not enticing for new players. I hope we get AAA soon. Yeah, I hope so too. But again, you guys know our resources and our situation, so it's a matter of what we prioritize. And a while ago, I posted, kind of my thoughts just on Splinterlands and what we focus on as a whole. And I try to be very realistic. And there are lots of higher quality graphics games that are moving into the blockchain space, and so that's to me not really where we're going to be able to compete. And so our focus with our limited resources is on our economy and on our blockchain integration, on our Web3-ness, you could call it, of this game, and making like a great product in that way first and foremost. And I definitely want us to upgrade the graphics and the animation and have the look and polish be at the level we want at some point. But that's not like first and foremost our priority.
Dave McCoy.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat a little from when I was talking about the land stuff, and I know Farpatrod has posted and was confident that land is going live, but and I believe he will get all the issues fixed, but ultimately it's not his call, right? It's because he's not the one who's going to be mainly dealing with all the production issues. I mean, he would, when there's production issues with land, obviously he would need to fix them and get them out, and would be doing that. But there's a lot of other people on the team that manage a lot of different parts of the system that would also need to be involved. So, Investigator is the one primarily in charge of the production servers and the release. And obviously PJ is the CTO. So he ultimately oversees all that. So, even if Farpatrod feels that it's ready, if those guys feel like it's too risky, it's their call. But Farp's been amazing, as you guys know, as far as the amount of work and time and hours that he's put in to get this ready for you. Question from Dave McCoy: does the chance of finding a totem fragment stack up each day? Are the chances the same if I claim once every 7 days versus claiming them each day? I've heard it both ways for players, so looking for clarification. I guess I intended it that there should be no difference in the chances based on how often you claim. So if you claim every day or every 7 days, your totem chances should be exactly the same. If it doesn't work that way in the code, that's not how it was intended. So I can't answer that for sure, but we can check with Farpatrod on that. But I intended for it it not to matter how often you claim. Following up, a question from Fat Jimmy. Following up on Dave's question above, is it different for keeps and castles and plots? I'm not sure what you mean. Is it different? The totem claiming mechanism, or the totem finding mechanism for claims, should work the same for keeps and castles and plots. In 1.5, I'm pretty sure keeps and castles have higher chances of finding totem fragments, but that's the only difference. Question from Dehoda: can you elaborate on the flywheel? I know you said it was inspired by Luna, but what are the differences and how do you hope it will work? Yeah, I wouldn't say inspired by Luna, but like portion of it was taken from that system where basically we've wanted to have a stable or a relatively stable currency in the game for a long time. I think that's super important, especially for like game crypto projects or ones that want to attract non-crypto people in who aren't used to the volatility of all the tokens, and being able to just have a more stable token that's part of the system that can be used for trading is really important. So the question is, how do you keep it stable without backing it by US dollars in a bank account or some other asset, which we're not doing, of course. So on the downside, if the value is going down on the markets, that's where I think we really have a very unique approach that we've had since DEC launched, in 2019, I think it was, where it's this product-backed stablecoin. So the value is the Splinterlands products that are priced in DEC, and that's what continues to give it value and keeps the price from falling too far. I mean, even in the depths of all the bear markets, it fell to maybe like 50 cents on the dollar. Which, while significant, is actually significantly less than most other cryptos have fallen. So I think the system works really well on the downside, and as long as we just keep releasing new products that people want and pricing them in DEC, that will maintain its value. But then the flip side was where we didn't really plan that out initially, right? We never thought of a situation where DEC would be going significantly over the intended stable value, and that obviously happened with the SPS airdrop. And so that piece of it was taken not only from Luna but other projects, which is where, now that we have the SPS token, basically whenever additional value comes into the DEC token, you can burn the SPS token to mint more DEC. So that pushes the price of DEC back down, and it in theory increases the demand for SPS, and so that can kind of keep going, essentially, right? So that's how it's sort of a flywheel. Is like, as soon as we release more and more products over time, and those products can contain additional, everything we do is going to be priced in DEC and add additional demand for DEC. People are going to hopefully continue to want more DEC tokens, which is going to keep pushing the price up. And then that's going to cause people to buy and burn SPS, right? Some people will burn SPS they already have, but at some point, once people are burned out of their SPS, so to speak, then the people will start buying SPS on the market in order to burn and mint the DEC, and then burn the DEC in order to get certain products. And so as they do that, as people are buying SPS on the market and burning it, that ultimately should cause the price to increase if the supply is the same. And then as that happens, that increases demand for our products, right? If the SPS price is going up, then that's the main reward for Splinterlands, products in battles and land and everything else. So that would increase the demand for our products, which increases demand for DEC, which makes people buy more SPS and burn it for DEC, which causes the SPS price to go up, which increases the demand for our products. And then you can see how that wheel goes. And I mentioned on a town hall or a call a little bit ago that I know we're kind of close and people are getting very excited for it, but I still think we do have a bit of time to go before that really kicks in, because we still have a kind of a glut of assets in the system that people have to go through before people are starting to purchase new SPS off the market, right? We have a lot of people who have extra SPS that they'll just burn rather than purchasing on the market, or they'll burn cards to get DEC, which we've been seeing happening more and more. Or just, selling other assets in order to get DEC. So we need to kind of go through all of those other assets in the system first. And then once kind of that's all exhausted and people still want DEC, then it's going to be a matter of, buying SPS and burning it. And we've seen a whole bunch. I feel like there's been something like 90 million DEC in the past couple weeks that have been minted based on SPS burning. I think it's almost like 10 million SPS that's been burned. So it's happening and it's starting. But I do feel like it's going to take a little while to eat through a lot of the other assets in the system before we really start to see it kick into effect. And I'm excited because when that happens, these type of things can be pretty explosive. I don't know for sure that that's going to happen, but I'm excited to see it, to see what we can do with it, because we've been obviously working on this for years. So hopefully that explains the flywheel effect. It's people want DEC to buy Splinterlands products, that people can buy and burn SPS in order to get the DEC. That causes the SPS price to go up, and that increases the demand for the Splinterlands products, which is the primary method for earning SPS. So that's the flywheel in a nutshell. So I appreciate that question and the chance to kind of explain that again. Ron, if anyone wants to come on stage, just jump in and let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep going.
I put it up here on our video call. You can see the request queue.
Not hearing anything. I'll assume there's no one that wants to come on voice. Question from Lion of Love. Was it the intention of the DAO for a small group of players to be able to make decisions that primarily benefit themselves, but at the expense of the majority of the community? I feel like that's more of your opinion of certain things that's going on rather than a fact of what's happening. It's the intention of the DAO for it to be a player-owned token and organization. So the token holders can do what they want with that. So I feel like, Ron, are you indicating something?
Yeah, I'm showing you the request queue, so I put that up.
Oh, got it. I can see the request queue.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Sorry to get interrupted there. Ron was just pointing, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something important. So anyway, yeah, but it was the intention of the DAO to see how this goes, and I do sincerely believe that our player base as a whole does and will make smart decisions, and I feel like our largest whale players, again in aggregate, will make decisions that will benefit the community, because that benefits themselves, right? If the whales just give themselves everything, they can do that to some degree, but then their assets will not be worth anything, right? The way to make everyone's assets worth more is to get more and more people into the ecosystem. And I do think they've, over, when I say they, like everyone as an ecosystem as a whole has been doing a pretty decent job of doing that. And I've been very happy to see how the DAO and the proposal system has been going. Questions from Lewis88. Do we get a Mavs test on the new cards mechanic before 5th December? Yes, the plan, I feel like I've mentioned before, is to get everything from Rebellion up on the Mavs server at least a week before the 5th of December release. Do I have more details to the wagons pricing and mechanics? Just a roundup. I think we're planning to go with 10 vouchers per wagon. Not 100% certain, but I believe that was the last I heard that we think makes sense to go with. So it's a relatively small price, but it can still get pricey and encourage people to, put max level cards rather than a bunch of level 1 cards. And I think it's up to 5 cards or maybe something like 100 packs per wagon. And that's and then each one will be worth, a certain number of points toward the conflict. And it's really just, the more points you accumulate, the more chances you have of getting the airdrops cards. So if you have any more like very specific questions, feel free to post them in there, but that's the high level on pricing and mechanics. So Fantasy Crypto is asking, if there's a delay in land release tomorrow, will it necessitate another week of waiting, or will there be potential release on a non-Tuesday? I guess that's a potential, but I think typically Tuesdays work really well, and we'd rather keep it to Tuesdays. I will say that next Tuesday though is right before Thanksgiving, which I don't think we would want to release something like land then. So it's a possibility. It could be 2 weeks, which again I know is a lot when you're all here and ready to go. I'm also here and ready to go for land, and excited for it. But in the grand scheme of things, another couple weeks delay possibly, will just be a drop in the bucket, and again, probably wouldn't be worth it to potentially put something out if there were serious issues with it that could, and if it goes out and there's serious issues, that could ultimately cause more delay, in that, the time it takes to fix everything and get things going right. It's a little hard because it's an unknown, and we just have to make a call, based on the information that we have and, kind of weigh the risks. So it could, I would guess if it doesn't go out tomorrow, it may not be until after Thanksgiving holiday. Question from Lewis88, when 1.5 kicks in, what exactly can we look forward to in the 1.6 release? Yeah, so after 1.5 kicks in, we're going to be releasing the additional features as soon as they're ready. So 1.6 isn't really a great name because it's really just like, relatively constant upgrades to 1.5. But there was a list of things in the post, so I don't remember them all off the top of my head. The first one though is going to be the DEC grain market. But so after 1.5 release, obviously any bugs will need to be fixed as highest priority, but then we're just going to start releasing all the things in that post as soon as they're ready. And that's sort of what we're calling 1.6, I guess, when that's all done. And then we're just going to get right into 2.0. Question from Icy Flow, can you give your original intention and idea for Soulbound unlocking? The community is at a stalemate with the discussion. The biggest point of contention is proposing something that doesn't allow bot farms to flood the market, but is cost accessible to most people. The idea for Soulbound unlocking is at some point, this group of Soulbound cards will be done. There'll be a new group of cards, new group of reward cards that'll come out. And I feel like as long as there is DEC or that needs to be burned or some type of cost to making the cards unlocked, then it's fine if bots have a lot of them and want to dump it on the market, right? Because they have to spend the resources to do it. The real issue in the past was that no additional resources needed to be spent. The bots had already got whatever cards they needed, and we're just able to constantly earn these reward cards and dump them on the market for free, and that brings no value back into the system. So if the bots have to pay, or anyone has to pay, not just bots, every account has to pay DEC to unlock the cards, then it provides value to the system. And they're not going to do that. If the cards aren't selling, they're not going to spend more to unlock them. So it'll kind of keep the supply and demand, is at least my hope, kind of in check. Is like, if there's demand for the cards, then more people, bots or otherwise, will start unlocking them and putting them on the market. But it just, like, at a high level perspective, as long as there's economic value put into the system, it's okay. And the problems we had before was because there was no value going into the system. It was only value being extracted. So that's the intention, the idea for Soulbound unlocking. And I don't know exactly what the contention is around in the community that you mentioned, but yeah, I think ultimately, as long as DEC has to be burnt to make the cards tradable, that should cover the issue. Question from White Walker: can we get some eye candy for Rebellion? Just a few cards with stats. Of course, with the disclaimer, the stats can change. Yeah, that is a good question. I don't have that stuff ready, and we don't have Nate here, so I'm not. I mean, I know I was the guy in the past who did all that stuff, but now taking over with my new role, I've left it to our team to handle that. So I'm not the one coming up with the stats anymore, though I do, give my input here and there. So I don't have that personally ready, but I do. We are going to start releasing those to the public over the next month or so until the full release. So the team there is going to start releasing stats and art and more information. I just don't have that ready right now on this call. So let me see here.
We do have 2 people in queue now.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to look there. Got too many screens going. Let's jump to the the queue, and I'll get back to the questions afterwards.
All right, I'm bringing on Fat Jimmy and Flowey.
Hey, is this working?
Hey, how's it going?
Jimmy.
Yeah, go ahead,
Hey,
Jimmy.
Right on. Just wanted to say I personally really think it's a good idea to have several days minimum of completely bug-free operation on a test server with something as big as land. If there's a delay, no big deal. But if there's bugs today and we're planning 24 hours, I'm not that comfortable with that. I'd much rather see like several days to a week of completely bug-free operation.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I was hoping that that's where we were at last week when we announced that, or that's where I thought we were at. So the release team is gonna meet and decide on that, but I'm generally in agreement. At some point, there's always going to be some bugs, so we have to make a call whether, like, if we just wait for literally there to be 0 bugs, that'll never happen. So we have to make a call whether the bugs are like severe enough or the changes to fix them, significant enough that it warrants delaying or not.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess SPS would be the most important thing to consider in that regard. Bugs with SPS distribution would be more important, I would think.
Yeah, definitely something like that would be a showstopper for sure. And even even if it's fixed, if it hasn't had enough time to be tested, so we're super comfortable with it, would be another reason to delay things.
Cool. Just wanted to say I really don't mind a delay. I know a lot of people do, but I think doing the smart thing is the best course of action there. Thanks.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Flowey, how are you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Excellent. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you for everything you have been doing, especially with the land expansion. Last week when you added this little teaser trailer for land, which is now live on YouTube as well, I saw posted an hour ago. So it really put goosebumps and tears into my eyes. We have all been waiting for this so long, and really feels great. And just a big thank you to you and the team, and especially Fab, who is constantly working and constantly giving feedback to all of us in the land channel and maths. Been really great. But what I wanted to say actually is that I prepared this Google sheet for all these land calculations, partly with the help of Farb. And it contains a possibility for everyone to just put in your land plots and cards and get like 95% of all what's in the white paper in data right away, and could be super helpful for everyone who's still preparing. As far as I could follow the chat in the last days, most people are not prepared yet. So this could be a nice thing in order to help you guys out there. And if you have any questions, just drop them in our LAN chat in the Splinterlands Discord. I pinned the link to this Google Sheet in the land channel, so you will find it easily there. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions or suggestions, or if you find any bugs in it, I'm happy to change it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I saw your post on that. I guess it was a few days ago.
Yes.
It looks fantastic. Definitely. If anyone hasn't checked that out, we'll get the links. Maybe just direct message me the link after this call, and I'll make sure that we get it out to everyone, because I obviously love the community tools like that, and any help the community can provide really goes a long way. So I appreciate everything. Obviously, this is not the first thing you've done by a long shot, so I appreciate all the stuff you've done over the years.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Flowey. I will jump back to the questions in the chat. And again, if anyone wants to come on the mic, put in a request to speak, and Ron will poke me if I forget to look at it. All right, scrolling down here.
We got a clay.
What's that?
We've got a clay.
A clay, a wild clay has appeared. All right, let's get Clay on here. Let me do one question from the chat, and then I'll jump to Clay. So we'll just go back and forth a little bit. If you're okay waiting for a minute, Clay. The next question I see is from Axler Twinblade. How many years left on the SPS rewards? Is it the intent that the DAO will need to be ready to take over given rewards when the current distribution ends? Yeah, it should be. It was a little over 5 years, I think, is 65 months as of July of 2021. So we should have about 3 years left on the SPS rewards. And yeah, the intent was that, the DAO has a very significant amount of SPS already. They'll be getting significantly more SPS by the time the rewards end. The hope is that SPS will be significantly more valuable by the time the rewards end, and that the DAO will be in a position to continue to incentivize things from its own coffers, so to speak, rather than additional inflation. But obviously, who knows what's going to happen in a few months, let alone a few years. So, the DAO will have to decide as it gets closer to that time, how we want to continue with rewards, and what we want to reward, and how, and all that type of stuff. All right.
You missed a question from
I did.
Essence of Anarchon, right above Axler.
Sorry about that. I did. Essence of Anarchony. Yeah, if you again, I'll say this: if you put your question word at the beginning in like bold and caps, it helps me as I'm scrolling through everybody. The prep sheet, and we'll get to you right after that, Clay. Sorry again. The prep sheet for land says max level cards take 10k DEC to stake. So a max level legendary and a max level gold legendary both take 10k DEC. Am I getting that right? Yes, that is exactly correct, and that is on purpose. And even a max level, a common card would be 10k DEC. So a max level, chaos reward common is the same amount of DEC as a max level gold foil alpha legendary. So the idea is that the older cards have even that much more value because they require less DEC to be staked. And I also, it's not spending DEC, it's staking DEC, which is again a part of the whole flywheel system. Just more demand for DEC, even if it's not spent or burned. Just having people stake it. So yeah, so I personally, I have some alpha cards and things like that, but the vast majority of the cards that I have on land are going to be max level Chaos Legion reward cards that I've been buying off the market, and I'm going to need just as much DEC staked for those, as for the older and higher production cards. So that was done like that on purpose, and that is correct. All right, now let's jump to Clay, our new, official manager and representative for the DAO. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Matt? Yeah, just kind of wanted to share. Obviously, it's been a pretty interesting couple of weeks so far. We've been getting a ton of feedback. We're kind of like starting to get set up to, I guess, get into a like operating routine.
Great.
So one of the things I wanted to like, I guess, mention, just to like kind of like let everybody know, and I guess let you know too, obviously. We're looking at starting to do like what I'm going to call like a down hall instead of a town hall. So it's like for the
I like
DAO.
that.
Yeah, and we're going to be looking to do them on Fridays since I know Splinterlands doesn't normally have like any conflicting events on Fridays. So it seemed like a good fit. But like hopefully I'm gonna try to get it set up. Like I'm still working on the computer and everything to get it set up for Friday. That's my current goal. So we may have one this week. I guess I should ask you, like, if we're gonna do these, like, do you have a problem if we do them in the Discord and like stream to our own like DAO YouTube channel?
No, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, these are all the type of things I'm glad to see you doing and to have someone organizing for the DAO. I kind of look at the Discord as being sort of shared between the community and the company. I mean, we could have separate Discords for the DAO and the company, but that doesn't seem to make sense because it's all together. So yeah, we should consider this like a shared space that we use together.
Yeah, I'm definitely like I'm enjoying seeing how many people are like getting involved in the DAO governance. We've been able to take a lot of ideas that people have talked about for a while. It looks like we pretty much have a proposal ready to go for like reworking the leaderboards. I know this is something people have talked about for probably 2 years now. It's just like how do we get rid of deck and leaderboards? Well, it looks like we've got strong community support for a proposal to use a little bit of rebellion packs to replace that deck. And hopefully the proposal that I've got pending right now, like if it passes, that's probably gonna be one of the first ones I run. That and there's a proposal about unlocking soulbound reward cards that clearly is getting a little attention. If you haven't noticed, I think it's like
Yeah.
3,000 plus comments going.
Yeah, no, those proposals sound great, and I look forward to them. I think I also would like to have proposals about how the rebellion packs will be distributed in loot chests when that's released on December 5th. Um, and I mentioned, I think last town hall, we were talking about land. Like I was planning to propose to remove the SPS reward pool from land completely in phase 2, just since obviously there'll be so much going on in phase 2, and I feel like SPS will be the least interesting of all the things, and it might be better to just reduce the SPS inflation by a significant amount there. So, I guess a lot of proposals coming down the wire for the community to look forward to, and I think that's great. I think that is a sign of a healthy and active community. It should lead to a better product in the long run.
So, I guess let me just like follow up with you on this right quick. Would you like us to go ahead and start the discussion for whether or not rebellion packs are going in a reward chest, and if so, how much?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you to lead the discussion and you and the community to lead all of that. And just keep me in the loop so I can just make sure obviously anything that's proposed is feasible from our
Yeah.
perspective.
Okay, for sure. I will get that going tonight, and I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we can even try to do something where like we have a few different proposals with a few different options. Just like no rebellion packs and loot chests is one option, or rebellion packs only in modern, or rebellion packs in modern and wild just like normal. Maybe a few different options like that, and then we just kind of see which one gets the most votes, maybe in the pre-proposal period or something like that. We can try to be a little creative with how we structure some of these things if we want to give different options to the community.
So I don't want to like get too far ahead of myself, but I was talking to Jarvie earlier, and this kind of like ties into something that has been on my mind for a while about how to build out that whole soft consensus layer.
Yeah.
And there's like it's probably too early. It's very early conversations, but maybe we might be able to work with Peak Monsters to set up our polling. So I will follow up with you guys whenever I learn more.
Yeah, that would be great. Any type of like soft consensus based, stake weighted polling system would be a great thing that someone like Peak Monsters could build, and would allow us to like narrow down proposal options to get to a good place to do the official proposal. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see some of that.
Sweet. Well, I don't want to take up all your time. I know there's a lot of people with questions, but I appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate everybody for even giving me this opportunity. It's like pretty much like the dream for me. I love working in crypto. Like this is what I care about.
Yeah, I myself even would love the opportunity at some point to actually work for a DAO rather than a real company. I don't see that happening. I think I'll be with Splinterlands as a company for a long time, but I'm a little jealous. And really appreciate what you're doing here because I think it's a really important position.
Yep. I just actually I've been spending the last like the weekend talking to a lot of the big liquidity providers we have in our platform. And just to be clear, like not all of these guys are SPS whales. So, 'cause I know some people like to think I just go talk to the SPS whales, but I've been getting feedback about how we can restructure our LPs a little bit to actually start generating some passive income for the DAO without taking on a lot of impermanent loss risk. So I dropped that tonight, and I'm going to start collecting feedback on it. But it seems like most of the big liquidity providers, even though this is not necessarily in their best interest, do think that this works for the DAO. So I'm definitely curious to see how this one goes.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for all the kinds of ideas like that. And one of the problems is like I've been so busy with other stuff. I just haven't had time to like go figure out what the DAO should be doing, which was one of the many reasons I thought it was so important to have someone specifically whose job it is to like figure out how to what the DAO should do and options and managing the treasury and putting up the proposals and talking with the community because we certainly don't have the time and resources to do it internally.
Yeah, and I like I said, it was funny because like I was starting to like look for jobs, and I was like, man, like the thought of like applying for a different crypto job with like a different like Web3 game, I don't know, it just like it felt like gross to me. So like that's whenever I approached you, and I was like, do you think this makes sense? And it's still like very humbling that you supported it. So I like I said, I appreciate everybody giving me the chance, and hopefully we prove that this makes sense, and we start getting some real productivity for the DAO.
Yeah, it's looking good so far. Appreciate everything, Clay.
Cool. Well, thanks for letting me on, and I'm gonna let you get back to everybody else's questions.
You got it. All right, getting back to the chat questions.
Matt,
Yeah.
I don't know how much time you've got today, but we've got 11 questions. Do we end the questions or not?
Oh
Have
yeah,
another
that's a
question?
good idea.
There's a
Let's
dozen.
cut it off before they get too many. And I'll go definitely until we get through at least all the questions that are in before we cut them off. Even if it's a little over time. Question from Eldon. Once you have a wagon for 10 vouchers, is that an NFT? Is that soul bound to the account? Is it it's a consumable? So it's definitely going to be soul bound to the account. We're not planning on you being able to transfer or trade wagons, at least in this first version for Rebellion. It's also not planned to be consumable. So if you buy your wagons for the first conflict, you will still have them for all the future conflicts. You won't need to rebuy them again. As far as what's going to happen after Rebellion for the next set, I have no idea at that point. But they are going to be soul bound to your account and not consumable, at least for the Rebellion conflicts. Question from Homebound Illusionary Cynic. Matt, could you share some thoughts on the current modern battle rating system? Yeah, I've talked about this a bunch. I think it needs a lot of work. I haven't. I spent some time brainstorming some different ideas, and I haven't had the time, and we haven't had the resources to go through and really rework that. Some ideas that I think would be good are I would actually like to get rid of all the leaderboards in all the different leagues and just have it be much more fluid. So the leagues are really just more like determine your rewards and the level of chests you get, but that as you get you just move right up to the next league as you get higher rating, or right back down as you get lower rating, without having to like choose, do I want to move up or not? And like have these weird, because the incentives with the leaderboards at each league are kind of messed up in my opinion. Like the way I look at this is like everyone should always 100% of the time be incentivized to move up and get a higher rating, period. And there should never be an incentive to like stay in a lower league. So I would like to see that change. And I think, that the ELO system is not so great in a game that has as much RNG as Splinterlands does. So I was, Hearthstone has a system where it's just like you get 3 stars and you move up, or however many stars, 5 stars, I forget what it is. But so I was thinking of potentially changing the rating system to just be a fixed amount of rating on a win or loss. Things like that. But obviously, like, I'm sure people's heads are spinning, well, that's going to mess up this, and that's going to change this, and this won't work. Yes, you're right. We're not going ahead and doing any of those things. But, that's part of a whole project I'd like to do at some point, of like rethinking the whole rating system with that type of thing in mind, and going through and kind of fixing all the potential problems or exploits that might come out of that. So, yes, I have been thinking about that, and we'll see when we can get to it. I have lost my spot in the chat here. Did Ron or someone, do you remember? 1122. Yeah, sometimes for some reason, like Discord, like shoots me back up to an earlier time when I'm scrolling.
It's Powers.
Sorry, 1122. Powis, here we go. Sorry about that. Question: when can we see Rebellion sneak peeks? That is a good question that I don't have an answer for yet. But it's got to be soon, right? Because it's going to all be on Mavs at least a week before we release, so that's like end of the month. So I will get with the team. We have a Rebellion call every Wednesday, and see when they can start throwing out some sneak peeks to the community. Let me see. Where the next one is. Rivals has a question. As a self-proclaimed Soul Keeper, do we see news updates, ideas for release for Soul Keep between the years? Yeah, I mean, I would like Soul. I mean, that's one of the things about building a game like Soul Keep, and that's why unfortunately there's been so many delays. It's like you don't just throw a game out there and just be done with it and move on to something else, right? So when we're releasing an entire new game like that, we need to have a plan for the future of like, this game is going to be around forever, and it's going to keep needing to be updated and built and maintained going forward indefinitely. And that's just what we're not able to do right now. So the plan that I'm working on is to make that happen, to get the game released in such a way that it's not just out and we can check a box off, but in a way that it can become hopefully a highly successful game going forward, indefinitely. Question from Fantasy Crypto: can we at least hear some details of what the issues are that are delaying land? I didn't notice any real issues on Mav server, so I'm probably just misinformed. Yeah, I haven't gone through like the whole list myself, because I only saw some of the things this morning. And I believe actually Farpatrod's already, he's been working like a madman and fixed most of the issues, but it's just a question of, it's one day before, is that enough time to test and be ready? I don't know yet. But the issues were more around, malicious actors potentially purposely submitting malicious blockchain operations. So most of the issues, if there were just issues with the UI and stuff like that, like those wouldn't block a release, in my opinion. We can get those fixed kind of on the fly or here and there, or just, it can just be annoying for people for a little bit until they get updated. But things where people could purposely submit blockchain operations that would cause an exploit or affect other people's land plots or things like that, those were some of the type of things that were discovered, which just gave us a little extra pause. It wasn't just some things like, oh, this button doesn't work, or like gets messed up if you do this card this way. They were things that could be a little more serious. So yeah, I don't want to say any more than that, but we're not just going to delay for some insignificant issues, but these were things that were significant. And that's always the case with these things. We're going to have people, for better or worse, who are going to go and reverse engineer the code and the blockchain operations and see if they can mess with things, which is good and bad. It's good in the sense that it will flush out all the issues one way or another. But it's bad in that we have to be extra careful with these type of things. Question from Silence. To further the soulbound reward question of unlocking them, what is your vision idea on what the fees mechanism should be to unlock them? I think many of us would like your input at this point, so we'll have an idea to rally around. Thousands of comments with no consensus. How do you envision unlock working? Yeah, I'd like to get involved in those discussions too. I haven't really been to this point, so I don't know what the comments or the proposals are, or the disagreements are. We already put out the costs for unlocking the cards to be used on land, and I thought those were good, at least as a starting point. And then the question was, should that be the cost to unlock them, totally, so they're transferable, or should there be additional costs on top of that? And I haven't actually thought about it for a while, so I don't have an answer right now. But I think that's something I should get back into the discussion with everybody on pretty soon. Hopefully, once like land and rebellions calm down, some of my time will be able to go back into like really focusing on those along with the community. But that's the only starting point I had, were the costs that we published for unlocking for land. And then the question is, are those good for total unlocking? Or you know what? One other thing I wanted to mention, which was an idea, I forget who brought it up. So if whoever brought it up to me is listening, they can let me know. Otherwise, I'm sorry, I'm not giving you credit. But that there could actually be a land resource that's needed to fully unlock the cards. So you have to pay the DEC and or vouchers to unlock them so they could work on land. But then to unlock them fully, you don't need any more DEC, but you need like a certain resource that's produced on land, which would be used to unlock those cards, which is similar to what I talked about last week during the technical issues that we're going to plan to do for potions with the new salt resource on land. So the idea with the salt resource is that you'd be able to get it by working on land, and you could use it to mix with the potions to make them tradable and be usable for item and spell cards. So that was a cool idea, I thought, of having a land resource that could be used to unlock soulbound cards also. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, as long as there's like economic input, like value coming into the system that's required to unlock the cards, then that should be enough to make it work. Question from Marketable Land 2.0 white paper. I still submit that by the end of the month, the Land 2.0 white paper draft will be released. Again, the first draft, we're going to get community input. There's going to be a bunch of changes, but the full draft should be released by the end of the month. All right, Birds, Bees, and Trees has a super long question. Splinterlands runs on Illuvium, correct? I'm hearing lots of good things about the short-term market in regard to different projects that have followed during this recent pump, including Illuvium's price skyrocketing in the last month.
Nvidium.
Well, I mean, Illuvium is a different platform, so so if you're getting confused on that, we have nothing to do with Illuvium at all. That's a completely separate thing. The platform that we're building based on the Splinterlands code is called Invenium. It doesn't have its own token or price or anything like that. And basically, Splinterlands doesn't really run on Invenium. It's basically we've just taken what we've built for Splinterlands, and Agrode in that group is taking that base and building out a full platform called Invenium that will run that runs the goals soccer game and other games. And eventually that work is going to be taken back into Splinterlands, like with the SPS validators and things like that. So eventually they'll all be on that same platform. But just so you know, it's definitely different and unrelated to the Illuvium platform or blockchain or whatever that is. Let me see. The next one is from Marketable. Other than the backlash of I wasn't ready, is there any other negatives to not giving dates on these releases? There obviously has been some major shifts recently in the company, and not meeting dates, unfortunately, has left a pretty bad taste in our mouth over the years. Would be refreshing to just be told after the update has happened, at least for Land, where we should know it's coming and be prepared. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of go both ways, right? We have a lot of people that say they need to know the dates so they can get ready and prepare. And there is a lot of preparation, especially not just for players, but for Jarvee and Peak Monsters and all the other third-party tools, like just like being like, here's a thing, and not having them not know. So I don't know. I feel like these are the type of things. The changes in the company have happened recently. I'm still getting my feet in the ground on how everything's working. And so this might, this whole experience with Land has been is going to be a good learning opportunity for us, right? How we handle releases like this going forward. I mean, for things like Rebellion, it's a new set. It has tons of new cool stuff, but it's much more similar to everything we've done in the past. So I think we're like super confident and great giving a date on that, and it's very helpful. And that's no problem. But for something like Land, which is just completely new and different, and monstrously large, clearly we've gone about this the wrong way so far. And we're going to learn from this experience and try to fix it going forward. So I appreciate the feedback on that, and we're going to try to do better as we continue along. Icy Flow has a question. I'm trying to form a proposal to rework tournament payouts. Can we get a table or spreadsheet of how tournament rewards are currently calculated, set foil league format? Yeah, that would be a great thing to work with Clay on, and then Clay can interface with the team if he needs information from us. But that is definitely something in the purview of the DAO, and that the community can get together and you should definitely have all that information available and be able to propose changes to it if the community wants. Let me scroll down. Question from Mark Hoare at 1142. A few days ago, Investigator suggested a couple of alternatives to the instant burn for DEC. Add an option for users to delegate their SPS rewards to the DAO in exchange for the DAO paying them DEC instantly at 10% below the burn rate. Add an option for users to be able to instantly convert their SPS rewards to credits at a minus 10% market rate. Yeah, I mean, I didn't consider any of these things before just reading them now, so I can't really comment on them except to say that I think it's great to have all these different options and ideas, and the community and myself and the team members, let's think about all of them and see, hopefully everyone as a whole coming together can come up with the best options. But I think having more, it's always better to have more people throw ideas into the pot for consideration, because we're just going to get a better product out by considering everything. So I will, I screenshotted this, and I'll spend some time thinking about it when I get a chance. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't reading the whole thing there. Yeah, I mean, definitely needs a proposal. Wait, the instant burn. Yeah, that's anything relating to the SPS token would 100% need a proposal. Yeah, so that's up to the community to decide, and it needs a proposal to change. The second question is, what do you think about 1 DEC burn per battle played in ranked play? You will need some DEC in-game account to continue play. If you play manually or using bots, there's more than 500k battles played every day. This is a good DEC sync. Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I mean, that's what, in my opinion, like having a direct cost for every battle. I mean, we do have the energy system, so you only get a certain amount of energy. I do ultimately think there's better ways to I mean, just bots playing a lot of battles in itself isn't a problem. It's really the reward system and how that works. So I also think even 1 DEC burn per battle, like, I'm not sure how much that would actually change, and it would just really make it like the bots and those, like, very experienced players would be the ones who would be able to do that, where like newer players or players who don't play as much would actually have a harder time. So I'm not sure if that would actually make problems worse versus better. But you know, we always generally have to think about how to ensure that human players are, you know, incentivized over automated playing, or at least, you know, as far as rewards are concerned. And we still have a lot of work to do on that front. Okay, so that is the end of the questions, which is perfect timing. It's just about an hour. So I want to say thank you again to everyone in our community for all of your support. I apologize again, you know, for all the past delays and potential future delays. But like I said, it's just absolutely of the utmost importance beyond anything else that we make sure that the releases are as solid as possible. And, you know, at the end of the day, it is going to be released. It is not that far out, one way or another. And, you know, it will be relatively insignificant in the long run. I mean, we're looking long term. That's the goal. It's not about how do we get, you know, things out as quickly as possible just to make numbers look good in the short term. It's like, what's the next 5 years look like, right? And taking a few weeks, if we need them, to make sure this is right, it would potentially be worth it for like the long-term future of the product. So, you know, stay tuned. We'll figure that out for sure one way or another later today and let the community know. Otherwise, I will talk to everybody next week. And just one more reminder that there's only a few days left on the Rebellion pre-sale packs. So if you haven't got those yet or want to get some more, this is the time to do it. Thanks, everybody.
When chaos reigns and hope is lost, when your darkest days aren't saved by the dawn, we bring the light to help guide the way. We are with you. We are the Rift Watchers. When your enemies have spread far and wide, when you're out of places to run and hide, follow the runes, help is on the way. We stand with you.